Hey everyone, this video is going to be about the mental stack in Street Fighter 6. I'm sure you've all at the very least heard the term. I'll explain what it is. And there's a lot of things that I'm going to say where they'll seem perhaps simple and obvious at first glance, but there's so much to the mental stack that the vast majority of players do not understand, and they're probably not going to understand it unless they have someone explain these concepts to them, right? There's a lot of players who feel like they can't improve, and reasons are because they don't have an understanding of things like this. So that's why I've made this video. I think it's a really important thing for people to understand, and I really encourage you to watch it all the way through. Even if you think, oh, I know all this is obvious, just trust me. Once we really get into it, you'll see what I mean. So what is the mental stack? To put it simply, the mental stack is the amount of things that you might have to be thinking about, expecting or reacting to at any one point in time, and how easy or hard that is to do in those situations, right? So I'll start with a very simple example and I'll expand from there. I've set Ken to jump. My mental stack in this situation is I'm expecting Ken to jump, so I'm just looking to anti-air, right? That's my entire mental stack in this situation. Right? And this is quite easy because I'm just looking for one thing. It's pretty slow, so I can easily react to it. And yeah, this is like a light mental stack or an easy mental stack. I'm just looking for one specific thing which makes it very easy to react to. Let's take it a step further. I have Ken set to jump as I did, but let's say I notice this Ken, he sometimes whiffs a stand heavy punch in neutral, right? And I'm like, I want to react to that. I want to whiff punish that for an opening. Now I'm in a situation where my mental stack is increased because I'm looking to react to a jump, but I'm also looking to react to a whiff punish, which gives me more things to react to. Right? As you can see, it becomes a bit harder to do because I'm looking for more things. And let's take it even a few steps beyond that, right? So, as you know, we've already got the jump and we have the whiff button. But what about drive rush? What if I notice this Ken likes to drive rush as well? All of a sudden, there's three things for me to look out for. So we'll put drive rush in there. And what if he does a heavy Jinrai on me as well, right? So all these things could happen at this point. All these things could happen. And if I'm trying to think about and react to all these things at once, it becomes very, very hard. Even, you could say impossible to react to all of these things at once. Yeah, I get hit there. Didn't stop that. Anti-air. Didn't stop that. Didn't stop that. Didn't whiff punish that. You get the point, right? When I'm looking for so many things, this is like a high mental stack situation where there's so many things for me to look for, and it makes it even things that I can easily react to in a vacuum, combined with all these other things that are also I can react to normally, it makes them all very hard to react to if I'm expecting them all as possibilities at one time. Now I'm going to get into how do we understand what mental stack is. I'm going to talk about a lot of the real meat of this video, what we're getting into it, is what people don't learn about these situations and what they need to understand in order to become better players, right? The first thing is, even at the highest level, when you have all these things that could possibly happen at one time, I guarantee you there isn't a single high level player that is trying to react to all of these things at the same time, even though they could happen. Okay? What you need to be able to do as a good player, and this applies to every level, is you need to understand what could happen to you at any point in time, and you need to prioritize ones that you think are the most likely and that you can reasonably react to, right? So I had those 4 examples that I've just shown. I could be like, in that situation, I can't react to all of this. So mentally, I need to think, well, what do I want to prioritize? I could prioritize, for example, the jump, because maybe this guy jumps a lot. A lot of this is like seeing what your opponent's doing, and that helps you prioritize what you should do. I might think, okay, I'm going to be looking for the jump because I notice this guy jumps a lot. I think that's pretty likely. And maybe I'll look for the drive rush as well because I think I can stop that too while looking for a jump. And the rest I'll just mitigate passively. Okay? So as you can see, I've got all the options on. That's how this works, right? As you can see, I was just parrying the Dragon Lashes because I can passively do that without thinking to do it. If you can't do that passively, you just block or whatever. But I was thinking, he's not going to jump, I'm going to stop the drive rush, right? If it's just jump and drive rush, I know that I can stop that. Right? I know that I'm able to stop this, right? And you have to work out what works for you, right? But just because, that doesn't mean you should just be like, oh, okay, well, in those situations, I'll always just look for the jump and stop the drive rush and ignore the rest. You'll notice as a lot, I'll say on a bit of a tangent, you'll see a lot of pro players like this. If you watch Momochi, who's one of the best Eds in the whole world, maybe the best, him or Lashar, right? Or, you know, Andy Morka is playing Ryu right now. But, you'll notice that there's a lot of jumps. He'll block a lot of jump-ins and not really try to contest them. And even drive rushes, he'll block them. It's not because he didn't react in time because his reactions aren't good. He has amazing reactions. It's because he chose not to focus on those areas and he was looking for something somewhere else. He was reducing his mental stack to not try to be reacting to those things so that he could react to other things that he thought were going to happen. As I was saying, you shouldn't just always focus on the same couple of options all the time because, oh, I react to those best or what have you. You do it based on what you expect. Like, for example, in this exact same situation, I know that I can react to, not only that, but I can react to Dragon Lash and a whiff at the same time. So I could focus on that if I think those are the most likely things that I need to react to, right? Oops. I can react to that. And here comes another part of doing this, right? Is when you are able to react to these things and focus on a couple things at once, a great way, an amazing way to kind of make it way easier on yourself in this mental stack situation is, I know that I can stop both these situations. If I think Ken's gonna stand heavy punch and whiff it, or I think he's gonna Dragon Lash, I can beat both of these with the exact same button, which makes me have to think about less things so I can focus way more on actually reacting to either thing happening, right? If that makes sense? Because I'm doing the same thing regardless, all I need to focus on is the reaction. And I can react way earlier because I don't have to identify it as much. I can beat both of these with this button. Right? You can see how easy this is. Look, same button. This is the kind of stuff you need to lab, you know? A lot of people just lab combos and stuff like that and offensive sequences. But no, see, I know that I can stop both these options with the same button. And because I've researched that and, you know, worked it out, it makes it so much easier for me in actual games if that's the situation I come up against, to like really reduce my mental stack. Another aspect you have to consider, or you should consider, other than player tendencies on what options you should be prioritizing, is the risk reward, right? For example, your opponent gets to jump in on you, you get hit, that's massive reward for them, big risk for you, right? Even if you block it, they're plus in your face, that's pretty bad. And then you also consider on top of this that you anti-airing a jump, it's a pretty good reaction for you, right? Compared to other things you have to react to, it's kind of easy in that sense. So that can make it pretty good to prioritize when it comes to solely looking at risk reward, as opposed to something like, let's just have Ken do his whiffs, right? This, if I just don't think about this and just let Ken whiff because I'm focusing on looking for other things, it's not that bad for me, right? I'm not in danger. you know, the main thing is I just lost out on very big reward. And you'll see people like Bonchan and such, you'll see them talk about this, where they say, even though whiff punishing is so massively rewarding in this game, they don't like playing a style where they're trying to go for a lot of whiff punishes, because they're putting too much mental energy into looking for those reactions to whiff punish, and it's taking away from the mental energy they need to be able to defend themselves basically in neutral and do other things that require reactions that do actually have a lot of risk if you're not ready for them. So this is another aspect of the mental stack when it comes to prioritizing what you're looking for exactly, how you can choose what you think you should be looking for. So now that I've explained all that, what else is there to these situations that you can take away to improve as a player? This is especially something that I think the vast majority of people don't consciously think about, but they need to be, and it would help them so much as players, right? What I call, in this situation at least, it's like mental stack manipulation, right? And it's very simple, and it makes sense. If I'm standing here, right, all those options, let's turn them all on, they're very dangerous, right? This not so much, but look, I could get jumped in on here. You know, this can happen to me, this can happen to me, drive rush. All these things are legitimate threats where I'm standing, right? But what if I just stand here, right? Make a save state here. Look, I don't have to think about a jump here. I don't have to think about Jinrai here. Sorry, Dragon Lash, right? They can't quickly drive rush me here. It takes them a lot longer. This is the basic concept of mental stack manipulation, okay? But don't think that, like, what I'm saying is, oh, so I should just stand out of range of everything all the time, because this is another massive mistake I see a lot of players make in this game, is everyone is afraid to play these kinds of ranges, or most people are, because everything's so dangerous here, so they'll always be walking themselves into the corner. If you're walking yourself into the corner, you're already losing, right? Against a good player, you're already losing. But you need to consider mental stack manipulation, right? If I'm standing here, then yeah, there's so many things I have to pick and choose between what do I want to try to react to and what should I expect. But if I just stand here for a second, all of a sudden, I don't have to think about, is he going to jump? Is he going to whiff this button? Because the button has nowhere near to reach, right? Is he going to drive rush? Perhaps, but if he does drive rush from here, I have a lot more time to react, right? So this is the kind of manipulation that I'm talking about. And I don't mean, oh, so I'm just always going to play from here, right? You can walk up to here, they'll be in a situation where they're, you know, oh, I can do this, this, and this. And then you can just quickly, you know, this is like a part of how you'll see a lot of high-level players move back and forth in and out of ranges. It's not just to make things whiff. It's like reducing the effectiveness of different things in like an instant, basically, right? Like all of a sudden, this is a scary position for me. There's so many things that could happen. I just, you know, a quarter of a second later, a lot of those things aren't going to work. So if I'm just kind of playing around here, it really disincentivizes a lot of my opponent's options, and it makes it easier for me to predict what options they're going to go for, right? And even, yeah, as I was saying, you can move back to negate a lot of options, but you can also move forward, right? What have we got here? We'll set this jump, like, if my opponent's going to jump, I could play closer, and all of a sudden, you know, I can do this without thinking about it. But if I'm playing in this range, maybe I don't want to think about jumps when it comes to my own mental stack. I could, you know, I could just stand back and anti-air, but maybe it's like, even if he jumps, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to focus on the whiff punish and the drive rush or something like that, right? And if he jumps, then I can just go like this, and, you know, that lessens my mental stack. It makes it easier for me. This is how you can manipulate the mental stack just through positioning alone. And this works offensively as well. You might be thinking, you might have felt this a lot of the time, is when your opponent, like, I'm drive rushing at him, I'm doing this and that. You know, how does he always defend himself so well? Whenever I jump, he anti-airs me. How come he always knows what I'm doing, right? It might be because the positions you're doing these things from, those are the only threatening options you have. So they can easily predict, like back here, maybe they expect a jump because this is an optimal jump range, but you're not really threatening with anything else. Like this isn't going to reach, you know what I mean? Your buttons aren't going to reach. So your opponent, if your opponent's a good player, they might not even realize they're doing it, but subconsciously they know, oh, this range, all I have to be scared of is a jump. So I expect a jump, right? So if you notice a lot of your options offensively aren't working, maybe you're just positioning wrong. If you play from here and then go, you know, maybe from here you do a drive rush jab, maybe from here you do a jump, you'll notice that your opponent will start to get a lot less reliable in their defensive answers because there's a lot more for them to possibly think is coming here. This is where their mental stack becomes a lot harder for them, and they have to prioritize different things that they can get wrong. Back here, they're not going to get it wrong because they're only looking for one or two things that they can think about all at the same time. Okay, thanks for watching. I was thinking about doing a video about Ed's recent changes, even though I've already done one again, and just going over some of the unintended, or what I think are unintended consequences that it's had. I don't know if anyone wants to see it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Yeah, hopefully I can get some more videos out there soon. And make sure to follow me on Twitter or join the Ed Discord, all in the description. And thanks for watching.